what happened in that fight. We all saw it. You all heard about it. If you missed the fight, you definitely heard about it. Ilia Topuria scores a second round KO very early in the second round, before the midway mark, if I remember correctly. A vicious KO. Round one was extremely tight. Volkanovski and Ilia Topuria had a very tight first round. I personally gave it to Alexander Volkanovski, but I can definitely see why some people out there are saying it was Topuria. Ultimately, if I was a judge and I had to pick, I think I would have put down a draw. Okay, I would have been comfortable putting down a draw. It was a very close first round. Second round, Volk was doing pretty good. It was looking pretty nice. It wasn't too hard. I mean, there wasn't any hard shots. Volk was picking him off with the jab. Topuria was answering back, but all of a sudden, Topuria corralled Volk near the fence and all of a sudden unleashes a combo. Body, head, a beautiful combo. Body, head combination. Volk kind of extended his arm, gets clipped with a right hand, and then another right hand, and Volk was down and out. But we're talking about out. Now, we've seen Volk take big shots in the past and just smile them off. I know a lot of you out there are going to be saying that, Coach, he fought too soon after Islam Makhachev. That was the big question. We did a pre-fight analysis. If I remember correctly, it was, I think, 70% of us were saying Alexander Volkanovski. But you guys remember in the pre-fight analysis, I was telling you, I think he's coming back too early. And I think it was a very common fear for everybody out there that Volk is coming back too early. I think it's been talked about pretty much in the media and in our chat room as well. Was that KO? I mean, was that KO a big part of that KO? The work of Islam Makhachev. Did Volkanovski come back and fight too soon after being stopped? A lot of you out there, I think, are going to say yes. I personally, if I was his trainer, I wouldn't want him to come back so quickly. I do believe that after you get knocked out, you need a long break. You need to stay away from sparring. You need to get back to a technical type of training that's easier on the body, let the body recover. Why risk getting concussed 2 times in a row? He doesn't need the money. He's got the name. He's still champion. I mean, he has a grace period to work with. Volk returned back very, very quickly. Now, with that said, I don't want to take away anything from Ilia Topuria. Ilia Topuria fought brilliantly. He controlled the pace. His defense was fantastic. His offense was fantastic. He landed very nice low kicks in round 1. I was very impressed with his ability to crush the leg of Volkanovski. In a 5-round fight, that is a very powerful tool. It helped set up his hands in the second round, and he finished the guy that nobody can finish at 145. An incredible win for Ilia Topuria. I applaud him. I'm impressed with his abilities, with his performance. One of the best championship performances ever, in my opinion. Guys, with that said, I want to hear your comments and questions, and I want to talk only about this fight. This one fight. We'll get to the other fights shortly after. Guys, quick note, use the promo code LEVELUP50 off and make sure to get anything you want on Jiu-Jitsu Club, 50% off. Make sure to pick up A Man's Guide to Throwing a Punch. It teaches you how to box and do your conditioning. Comes with a PDF file. Make sure it also teaches you how to handle a street encounter. Make sure to check out A Man's Guide to Throwing a Punch. Okay, guys, with that said, let's talk about this one fight only. No other fights. Many experts didn't give credit to Ilia Topuria. That's from the Caribbean. Yes, you're right. Even on this channel, I took a poll. And I thought it was going to be more closer to 50-50. No, nobody. Very few people out there. Very few. I should say, I think it was like 70-30 in the favor of Alexander Volkanovski. Guys, I love Alexander Volkanovski. I think he's one of the most entertaining fighters. I love the fact that he took the Makhachev rematch on a short notice, the fight we all want to see. He's a hero. However, I think he should have took a longer break after the Islam Makhachev knockout. When he got knocked out by Makhachev, I think he came back way too early. It was a bad knockout. He got his bell rung quite seriously. And it's just rough on the body. You got to give the body time to recover. How do you think Volk could have won this fight? That's from Masculine Faculties. I agree he could have won this fight. Absolutely. Obviously, the guy's undefeated at 145 till that one fight. How could he win the fight the way he always does? I would like to see him wrestle early. Like more wrestling, striking wrestling. Because remember, during the pre-fight interview and breakdown, I was telling you guys, I think boxing, I give Ilia Topuria an edge. But kickboxing, I'll give Volk an edge. And especially if he blends his wrestling in. If he used kickboxing and wrestling nonstop Because I also give the 5 round, the fact that it's a 5 round, I give that an advantage to Volkanovski. He's done a lot more 5 rounders. He's prepped for a lot more 5 round fights. It's very different when you have 10 extra minutes. It makes it a very different fight. Now, Volk has been there with the greats in 5 rounds, and Topuria has only ever done it once. He did it with Josh Emmett. He did a 5 rounder with Josh Emmett once. If I remember correctly, that was the only time. Maybe he has fights outside of UFC where he did 5 rounds. I'm not aware of that. But if he did, it's not the same level of competition that Volk was fighting. So for 5 rounds, I mean, Volk fought Max Holloway 3 times in a 5 rounder. He did 15 rounds with arguably the most high pressure 5 round fighter in UFC history. I would give that to Max Holloway. The guy's an incredibly busy 5 round fighter. 5 rounds, he's just a nightmare. And Volk did it 3 times with him. I love how everyone on here is an MMA expert after picking Volk on Saturday. Michael Shu, look, nobody's claiming to be an MMA expert here. We're all speculating. Nobody ever knows what's going to happen in a fight. You know, they can fight 3 times and you can have 3 different outcomes. You can fight 10 times and one time, you know, he wins this way, one time the other guy wins that way, and one time is a decision or a split. It could go various ways. These guys are making real-time, real-life decisions in there that make a big difference in the fight. They're both finishers. If Volk decided to wrestle, it could have made a massive difference in the fight. I knew Topuria would KO Volk. Volk cannot win this fight, even if he didn't fight Islam. That's from Patty Cake, Patty Pie. Well, Patty Cake, Patty Pie, you know, some people are going to accuse you of being a Monday morning quarterback here. I think it's very possible you might have had faith in Topuria, but nobody knew. No is a strong word. Okay, you thought, I believed Topuria. You could say, I believe Topuria. You know, I was picking Topuria, but you know, if I always tell people when they tell me that, oh yeah, you picked it right. Okay, show me that you bet the house on it. Show me your slip. You know, like if you're out there and you really believe something, like you just know. You don't believe, you know. Like, why don't you just bet everything on it? You know, not that I gamble, but I know a lot of you out there are not restrained. You know, a lot of you guys can gamble. I mean, if you knew, not you believe, you knew. If you knew so well, it's like put your money where your mouth is. Nobody really knew. Some people believed, but we all saw it as a bit of a long shot. Coach, I told you Topuria would win. Ilia would win. That's from 45 I Alive. Yes, you might have been one of the guys who picked Topuria, but I would tell you in the minority. I think it was like 60-40, 70-30 if I remember correctly. Even 80-20. We'd have to go back and watch that episode. I remember it being very lopsided, and I was surprised at how lopsided it was, even though I did personally pick Volkanovski. Is his prime over, Coach? That's from Amir. Is Volkanovski's prime over? I hope not, but he does have a lot of miles on him. He's been in a lot of 5-round fights. He's been hit a lot. He's been through a lot of training camps. He's been knocked out now twice in a row. I think he has to take some time off, and I've heard that Volkanovski doesn't like to take time off, so that could be a real problem. The body needs to heal. He needs to let his body rest from the trauma, and you know, seek expert advice, medical advice, you know, concussion experts, and see, you know, where his health is. You know, health is number one. From there, he could start to rebuild slowly. But if he does a quick turnaround again, I could tell you that, you know, we've seen so many great fighters. Like, for those of you who haven't been around MMA a long time, Chuck Liddell was a lightweight UFC champion. Arguably, at that time, he was the greatest champion ever. Okay, arguably at that time, like, it was arguable. Okay, he was among the top ever. People were putting him as a legend, and he is a legend, of course. But not only were they saying he's the greatest light heavyweight champion ever, but he may be the greatest champion ever of all time in every pound for pound. And then, if I remember correctly, he got knocked out 6 times in a row, 5 times in a row. Let me look that up. Okay, after being hailed as one of the greats. And he had a chin of iron. He had incredible ability. He was super explosive. He was a finisher. He's 21-9. Let's see how many losses he had, okay, in a row. So he lost to, okay, he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Out of his last 7 fights, he got stopped. He lost 6 of them out of his last 7. Okay, so KO by Quinton Jackson. Split decision loss to Keith Jardine. Win against Vanderlei Silva. KO'd by Rashad Evans. For those of you who didn't see that, KO was a horrible KO. Mauricio Hua, Shogun also knocked him out, punches. Rich Franklin knocked him out, round 1. And then Tito Ortiz, that was way many years later. That was in 2018. He fought Tito Ortiz. So Tito Ortiz also lost to punches. He lost to Tito Ortiz for punches. So out of how many wins is that a KO? So he lost to Quinton, KO. He lost to Keith Jardine, split. Rashad, KO. Mauricio, KO. Rich Franklin, KO. 5 KOs in his last 7 fights. He's got KO'd 5 times in his last 7 fights. You can't lose your chin. What does that go? It goes to say, look, he was one of the greatest of all time, and then he just lost his chin. In round 1, he's getting knocked out. Out of his last 7 fights, he got knocked out 5 times. His chin is no longer reliable. Believe me, I can name you many other names. Their chin was so good, so strong, they're getting hit by the who's who. All of a sudden, they're getting knocked out by guys you never heard of. Been a TriStar fan for years, coach. That shot Ilia landed was picture perfect. I think Volk came back too soon also, but he has been going out regardless from that shot. He was going out regardless from that shot. I don't know. He's been hit so hard in the past. Volk has been hit by the who's who, man. He's been hit by everyone. And he took it. He always took it well. The only thing I find that ever really wobbled him and stumbled him, that made him look like he can really be hurt, was those head kicks he absorbed, especially one from Max Holloway, where he really looked like he was in trouble. All right, what else we got here? Do you think Volk can retake the title? That's from Timu. I don't think for a while. I think he has to take a serious rest. I think if he comes back to fight Ilia right now, like in the next 3-4 months, he's going to get knocked out again. Ilia's got 5 rounds to land that right hand, and it's going to happen. So it wasn't like he took 10, 12 right hands and then one of them so happened. No. He didn't take long. As soon as Ilia started touching him with that right hand, because he hit him with 2 right hands. The first one he landed hurt Volk. Volk looked like he was going down. Then he got hit with another one. So I really think in 5 rounds, if he fights Ilia in the next 3, 4, 6 months even, that would mean he went back in a training camp. He started training too early. I don't think he recovers. I think he gets knocked out again. I think he needs to come back next year. I think he needs to take a long layoff. He got knocked out twice in a row. I think he needs to take a fight with somebody who's not a big puncher and see how his chin is. I think he needs to take care of himself a little more. And as a long-term goal, get that belt back, yeah. How vital were Topuria's leg kicks to winning the fight? That's from Ali. I love the leg kicks. He did a great job with the leg kicks. They both landed leg kicks. Volk was changing side. He kind of did some shifting there. Did a lot of interesting things. Volk was fighting beautifully, and so was Topuria. They were both fighting really well. It's just that I just think Volk came back way too early, man. His chin is not what it used to be. By the way, also, Volk was landing some nice jabs in round 1 and round 2. I mean, Ilia's face was red, was bloodied. He got some little cuts. I mean, that was just the start of a 5-round fight, It's still early. I mean, it wasn't like Volk wasn't doing well. Volk was doing very, very well. It's just that right hand is way too much. If he gets hit with that right hand, he's going down. And I don't think he could stop Ilia from touching him with that right hand. It's an inevitability. Hey, coach, could Topuria challenge Islam? That's from May Dixie Normus. I personally don't think so at all. I think if he fights Islam Makhachev, he's going to get knocked out or subbed. Okay, Islam is way too big. Guys, who is the greatest featherweight of all time? I personally wouldn't put Topuria in there now. Obviously not. He hasn't cleaned out the division. We don't know how far Topuria is going to go. It's still a big question mark. Now, I'm not saying he's not going to go far. He can maybe become the greatest featherweight of all time. Absolutely. What I'm saying is, it's between 3 names as of now. I would say it's Jose Aldo, Max Holloway, and Alexander Volkanovski. And I'm sure we're going to have a huge debate about this. Actually, let me make a little poll right now. Let me throw that out there. I'm actually very interested to know what you guys think. Hold on a second. Okay. Volk, Holloway, and option Aldo. Okay, guys, I'm putting up that poll. Just because he beat Alexander Volkanovski doesn't mean, in my opinion, doesn't mean he can go on and take out Islam Makhachev. Guys, Makhachev will get him down on the mat, and Makhachev is a big, strong guy, and I don't think Topuria's bottom game is going to be able to get him back up to his feet or escape submission. He's going to get, in my opinion, totally crushed. Volkanovski has attributes that can make him fight at lightweight that I don't think Topuria has yet. Topuria relies heavily on power. At lightweight, he's not going to be the most powerful guy. At featherweight, he's a very powerful guy, so he can fight the way he does, and it makes sense, and his system works. You take away that power advantage, you put him with bigger guys, where when he hits those bigger guys and they're not feeling it as much, the fact that he's a shorter guy also, so he's gonna have good power, but not the best power, and he's gonna have much shorter reach and all that. I think lightweight could be a real nightmare. I don't think you should even consider fighting Makhachev until he's won at least 4 or 5 fights in featherweight still. Like, he's got to defend his title. He's got to establish himself as a legend at featherweight. All great fighters, but I think Prime Aldo beats Max Holloway and Volk. That's from Zakir Williams. Zakir, I'm telling you, I grew up watching Aldo. Like, I was at the arena. I was there when he was having his run. The guys who know the featherweight division, Jose Aldo's run was absurdly impressive. Like, it was just absurd how hard he was to take down, how hard he hit, how dominant he was. It was incredible. It was really incredible. The Jose Aldo run at featherweight division was phenomenal. The only downside was the way he lost the title to McGregor. It was such a heartbreaking overnight fall from grace. It was arguably one of the most painful ways to lose a belt. Like, I don't think any champion's ever been hurt more. Like, it just, you having a fight go so wrong, and to a guy who's like you've been having beef with for over a year. It's just, it was the fall was so painful. It was so hard to watch. It was like, it was such. And Jose, in my opinion, he has all the tools. He had all the tools. Not that he obviously he lost, but he had the tools to make that a better fight for himself. I've talked about it in the past, how he kind of like fought with emotion. I thought he was swinging punches, and McGregor was cool and calm, and he's a counter puncher. He wants you to wing punches at him. He wants you to throw bombs. That's how McGregor thrives. He's a counter punch expert. Anyways, I won't go into that again, but basically, I think Aldo kind of fought the worst way he could possibly fight. But before that, if you take that fight away, I mean, the guy's career was so brilliant. Now, Holloway also, you could say so much about Holloway. Holloway is also arguably the greatest featherweight of all time. And Volk. Now, Topuria, he's been handed the torch. We have to wait and see. He might lose his next fight. He might lose 2-3 fights. Who knows? Or he might go on a 10-fight win streak, a 5-fight win streak. And now we're talking about, hey, is Ilia the greatest of all time? Like, it could happen just like that. We're still learning a lot about Ilia Topuria's style. What limitations does he have? How does he do on the ground? How's the other layers of his game? Are people going to start getting? Is he going to start getting a bit predictable? Is his fighting style going to become predictable, and guys are not going to get caught? And there's so many questions that needs to be answered. Time will tell. He might become one of the greatest of all time, or he might just be a regular level type champion. So far, he has been incredibly impressive. Did you see how Ilia turned whole torso with KO punch? That's from Samuel. Yes, he transferred his weight, man. He put, the bigger punch you throw, the more risk you take. But without risk, you don't get reward. He found an opening. He committed to it. He committed to that punch completely, and he scored big. It was a brilliant performance. One of the best championship performances I've ever seen. Topuria could catch Islam, though. He's a very clean puncher. That's from Ryder Ramlov. Guys, I agree with you. He has a puncher's chance, no doubt. But still, Islam Makhachev is bigger. For him to get knocked out by a featherweight, it can happen. It's just less likely. Also, Islam's going to have a long reach. Topuria is a shorter guy. He's going to keep distance control. And I think he puts Topuria on his back. He's going to overpower him in the clinch. He's going to take him down. He's going to judo throw him. And when it gets on the ground, guys, it's going to be really nasty, because look at what Makhachev does to black belts in his division. He crushes them. And I know Topuria is a black belt, but we're talking about there's levels of black belt. And I think Islam is just levels and levels above on the ground. I think he brings the fight down to the ground reliably. And when he gets him down to the ground, it's going to be a nightmare. All right, let's check on this poll here. 54% say Volk, 12% Holloway, 34% Aldo. I think we have a lot of young voters because I think, look, Volk did amazing, but Aldo and Max also were incredible, absolutely incredible featherweights. It's very hard for me. I think about it every so often. It's just really hard for me to choose which one of them was the best. Okay, says I missed a super chat. Is Holloway a tougher matchup for Ilia? That's from Tryhard. Yes, I think so. I really think so. I would love to see this match. This would be an incredible match. Whoever wins that match not only would be the best featherweight champion, but also would be, in my opinion, the best boxer in UFC. He'll be the best boxer. So it would be an incredible match. Really, it would be an incredible boxing match. And it would be two guys. Of course, there would be kicks and knees and maybe a little wrestling, but not so much. It would be like two expert boxers going at it.